From the allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, the roll call.
Alderman Johnson.
Present.
Alderman Fairwell.
Here.
Alderman Rita. Alderman Toya. Alderman McGee.
Here.
Alderman Carr.
Here.
Alderman Roll. That's 4, Your Honor.
The motion to approve the minutes of last committee of the whole, read on July 13th, 2022. Is there a motion? Motion Alderman McGee, second by Alderman Fairwell on the question. Clerk, please do the roll.
Alderman Johnson.
Aye.
Alderman Fairwell.
Aye.
Alderman McGee.
Aye.
Alderman Roll. Or Alderman Carr.
Aye.
Mayor.
All right. Aye. Public comment. Any public comment? Public comment. Alderman Montoya, Canvas.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Thank you for being here. Your work for the city is very important. It does not go unnoticed. I've been coming to council meetings, studying our government for over 45 years. As a concerned citizen and as an alderman, I've been volunteering my time, monitoring our city government. The 50 blocks of streets that will be rebuilt, repaved, where will the money come from to pay for this? Will the new city engineer also replace the antiquated sewers and the lead water pipes? The hospital discussion tonight on Metro South Hospital, I would hope the city leaders will keep the hospital property zoned only for a hospital. The city and the region needs the hospital to be open again as a functioning hospital. Can you tell us how much the hospital owners are currently paying in real estate taxes? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Council, there's nothing on the agenda regarding the hospital, just put it out to work. Any other public comment? Now we have new business. Is this live or over Val's presentation? We'll come back to that. All right. Discussion sale of property at 13001 South Gregory. This is the old motor bank. We decided at this point it was intermittently used for the last 6 months for a COVID test site. To list it for sale. So we're planning on doing that. I don't know if the city administrators have anything to add. So I want the council officially to be listed through the MLS.
Just as a brief synopsis, working with Dave Seaman, we during the back end of the last COVID, we did allow for the motor bank to be used as a COVID facility with a doctor's group. Technical party is the name. They were able to get it up and running for a little bit. We were sort of offering to them on a permanent basis for a potential medical facility. It's not looking like it's headed in that direction. So at this point, I think the property is at least in better shape to sell at this point. So that's the rationale. Yeah.
And just we're going to put on an MLS, but more importantly than price, if anybody offers what the use is going to be, or anything is decided brought back to council.
You don't have to know the price.
No, I think we're waiting for the realtor to give us a synopsis of that, but it's more important that we get a proper use there that's going to generate revenue than what we're going to get for a short term.
Right. 13301.
Yeah, it's the motor bank across the same time.
Oh, okay.
Ordinance number 2022, the city of Blue Island, regarding 2 vehicles only. And the reason why we broke these out separately, because this is more than just scrap value, or at least in the administration's eyes. This is the old fire truck and the dump truck that was stolen that cannot be repaired. The fire truck, we're all aware. We tried several routes to donate it, possibly for training costs that they weren't interested. Even the chief reached out to a couple of scrappers. They weren't interested to give us a price because there's too much work cutting it up. So we were gonna list it on one of those, what's it called, Mark, the government bid sites?
Yeah, so we're, Dennis Sepsi, and myself are, working with Municipid, which is a nationwide, auction site for municipal vehicles. The CTA also uses that.
And
website.
the dump truck is not old enough to be just scrapped in my value. The frame was shot, the engine was shot, even in this day and age, just again, the one that was stolen. Even if we put all the money to repair it in, you probably still get a used one, probably for less than what we put in, but there's valuable parts on it. So we wanted to put this through the municipal online auction, kind of like the school districts do in large municipalities. We still have to do this resolution authorizing the administration to do that. So is there any opposition to that? Yeah, the council before we do it, so we'll get the next city council. I said my comments pretty much last night. I reiterate the city clerk about National Night Out. I missed yesterday to say anything about it. It was excellently attended. I enjoyed seeing the deputy chief falling into the water multiple times. And I'm glad it was a lot more people because we expanded into a Kruger funeral and parking lot. So even it was more spread out, it still was a lot of people. The fire department contributed by using the new ladder truck to break some pinatas. I heard a lot of good reviews. Again, expanding next year possibly with an antique police car, I'd like to see chief. To compliment Old Best.
Got it.
Because kids on Old Best at fireworks nonstop ringing that bell and jumping in there taking pictures. I'd like to do the same thing for the police department. So that's all I'm going to keep that short. Going on, we have city clerk.
The bid opening,
Yeah, we can do that first.
you want to do it?
Sure.
All right, we're doing the bid openings for the sale of some of the previously listed city-owned properties. The first is from Alexis Sparza. The bid is $10,000 for the property at 2154 Grove Street.
Also, Alexis Sparza.
Is bidding $23,500 for the property at 2122 Broadway. Mission Covenant Church is putting a bid in for the vacant lot at 12419 Greenwood for $2,010.
So that's all the bids.
That's it, only three.
So
So we'll review these.
review those and then review the ones that we're bid on. And some of them, this is probably our third attempt. We might have to make other decisions on.
Right.
So we'll bring
What
it
about
back.
that, like social media or just,
Let's see what they are. Maybe just vacant lots or something. But
so maybe people see that on social media instead of just like the newspaper.
or we still have to authorize the county council to go out with it, but
Can I just say one thing about that? You may be aware of this. I'm guessing that the church may be looking at it as a possible parking lot.
that was actually good when they came in. That's exactly what. They were doing.
Okay,
Because they use it right now and they say,
Yeah.
he said he was gonna use it for his car, or motorcycle thing or something like that. Hey, sense across the street from the church, unless a lot of people think, it probably costs a much cut grass this summer. All right, again, next council.
I'm just gonna repeat a couple of these things. Blue Station Apartments are doing an back to school tomorrow on Friday. Thursday night, we'd really like to see everyone there. It's the ribbon cutting for the Lyric at 7 o'clock. Everyone is invited. The Friday night at the Lyric is the White Parade fundraiser from 6 to 9. October 1st, we're having a health fair at the John D. Reader Rec Center. The 29th, the Park District is doing the trunk or treat. And October 15th, the Alderman and the City of Blue Island will be decorating for scarecrows. November 2nd is Day of the Dead. The Blue Island Untouchables have registration every Saturday from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock at the John D. Reader Rec Center. And that's all.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, excuse me.
Alderman.
Did you have a time for that book bag thing at the Blue Station?
No, she didn't, no, I could, if you call me tomorrow, I could have some, special events paper.
Okay,
But, I know they're blocking off the street at 10, 11 o'clock. So it's like-
that's Saturday, you said?
No, Friday,
Right.
and I think they're doing a barbecue also.
Okay, thank you.
City attorney gave an ordinance, they came out of planning zoning, it's the growing truck facility on Wyerton, it's just gonna be another truck facility, but still that goes to the planning and zoning. The address is 2922 Wyerton Road, special use for Blue Island Truck Repair LLC. So that'll be at next city council unless there's any issues. Zoning board amendment regarding cannabis regulations. This, some of the stuff that we thought we covered in the first draft that we missed, lowering the amounts to state minimums regarding infusion centers. I don't know if the administration wanted to touch on it. Something we missed actually in the last time we wrote it, we missed this one.
Nor did we get into that. I can't speak to how the first ordinance came about. I wasn't here at the time, but the city has an existing cannabis ordinance. It took the state statutes and regulations as it relates to various things like distancing, et cetera, and then added to that additionally. So here's what I can tell you as it relates to this. We have the one dispensary that should be opening in the next 6 months, a year or so. We have no other dispensary inquiries to the city. What we do have is companies that have obtained licenses for either cultivation facilities, so growing, or the one that we're seeing if we can't find a place for them in town, infusion. So these various products need to be from cultivation of the actual plant to these final products that come in various forms. There needs to be a manufacturing process that just gets labeled as infusion.
Yeah, not retail at all.
They're not retail facilities, they're not open to the public. They won't be welcoming any public members in. They have a lot of security built into their state licensure, a lot of security requirements around it, including licensed private security firms, cameras, et cetera. These licenses would not be approved. They didn't have a very healthy security plan, but we built in, the city built in distance regulations for dispensaries, infusion facilities, and cultivation facilities alike. The state never did that. The state said we don't want dispensaries across the street from schools. Makes sense. But what we're finding is in our relatively compact town, if we wanted to try to find places, the Howard Party is working with some of these companies, trying to find places where we are comfortable with bringing it to this council and saying we think that this will fit here, not be disruptive to the community and be economically beneficial to the city. Our own city regulations, not state regulations, our own city regulations are cutting some of those conversations short. So that is the purpose behind this. Obviously, any facility, any new business, especially a new business like this that is in this category, is going to come back before planning and zoning and this council before anything is approved. This allows us to continue discussions on certain properties with all of the parameters and things that will happen, same as happened in this discussion, around this discussion. So,
Any questions? Not, it'll be pretty much the same ordinance we approved last time, but the infusions, tweaking the businesses.
The amendment will have to go through the planning and zoning board first, though,
Yeah.
so that will be at next month's meeting, and then it'll come before you.
Yeah, I just want to give the council a heads up. And that's all I have. Administrator, do you have anything else, administration?
you asked about history report?
Yeah.
Just real quick, you've got the updated revenue and expenditure report that is fully reconciled through June. We're also able to go through and do some troubleshooting on some of those areas. We had to do some accounting corrections on to make sure the right money is put in the right place. Go ahead, go through it, but it should be pretty accurate. So, and just a quick follow-up, Alderman Roll could not be here tonight. Him and I did meet with Smart Fusion this week. We had a lot of email communications about setting up the initial data transfers, weekly data transfers that will allow for us to do some of the things we've been talking about in terms of better tracking, transparency, things on our website, better tools for this council, et cetera.
Thank you. I wanted to also let the council know which we're working on. I'm trying to get a report put together that would tell the council, hopefully on a monthly basis, how many tickets and violations were issued, how many appeared before housing court, how many were fined, how many were compliance, how many were rolled over, what went to collections, and so on. So we can have that monthly. So we're trying to put that together. Just wanted to work on that today. I was talking to the chief and the building department. And I see Bell's with perfect timing. Perfect. This is good, good. No, we're roll right into you if you're ready.
Oh, for sure.
Unless you want us to give a few minutes, I do have an executive session in 5 minutes.
This is great.
Okay, good.
I think I may have misled you. I don't think I cued you on the time, so.
Yeah, no, I thought it was 7 o'clock. I'm sorry, I just truly watching it.
Well, welcome everybody. Hi, thank you for having me. And so today, I'm here just to give the heads up about the urban and community tree grant that we're applying for. This is through, it is administrated through the Martin Arboretum. It will provide a complete tree inventory of every planting that the city owns. So that will include the parkways, which the city is responsible for, along with, it could include also the golf course as well as the park district if we choose to go that way. And should I back up a bit and just kind of state that the Urban Forestry Board was reinstated the beginning of this year after a hiatus of 5 years. And with the Forestry Board, we have brought to the city a renewed tree ordinance that was based off of the template that Chicago Regional Tree Initiative has been recommending. We do need a new tree ordinance, and that has been given to the administration. In order to proceed further with this grant, we need to get that moving even further. So it is on administration's desk. It needs to get approved by the council sooner than later, and hopefully approved, and also maybe prior to that through the lawyer needs to look at that. Okay.
Get that done, Bill.
Okay, thank you. That is one of the guidelines with this, for this tree grant that we're applying for. The city has never, we shouldn't say we've never had tree inventory. We did do one 12 years ago when I was part of the tree board, but it was done by volunteers, and I gotta say, like, we wound up having to go back 3 times to do it, and I don't think it was very comprehensive in the least. The reason for the updated ordinance is it has not been updated since '94, and there's like maybe 3 species of trees that are acceptable, which actually the pear tree is now on the invasive list. So
I have one myself, I'm constantly cutting suckers off.
yeah, cut those. Yeah, its name of the pears, eh? So what we are in the process of doing now. So with this urban and community forestry grant, the nice thing about this, and I've talked about this with even when we were going through the appropriations, because we did request for the Forestry Board, which is the first time in forever that I remember, that we have a line item or a budget of $10,000, and that was in the hope of doubling that for this grant and for a tree inventory. One interesting thing that has happened with this grant this year, it is now being offered anywhere. It is a matching grant, so we can apply from anywhere from 10,000, which will then give us 20, or it can go up to 25,000, which it has never been offered that amount of money, which is pretty significant and awesome. The reason why to go for these tree inventories is it will give us a comprehensive, we have to know what we have before we can start planning for what we need to do, right? And with these tree inventories, it will give you a comprehensive, have a couple of photos of like the drop-down list, and they're really working off of now a Google map. And on the Google map, it will then give the species, the DBH, which is kind of, it's not a tree, but it's really like the size of the tree. It can even tell you like how long, how healthy the tree is and such. These inventories also will give you an idea of space and planting spaces moving forward. And we have some photos here, as well as the grant. Couple things that we're looking for when we are now doing some competitive bidding. And we're working with Bartlett Consulting and was Graft Urban Forestry. Both have done really excellent work. Both of them are willing to consult with us. We actually have a couple people on our board that have done grant writing. So I'm just looking to the city. One, I need to get like the boundaries of what our city limits are, because that is something that everybody is looking for, to get a idea of what the cost of this tree grant as well. Oh, and the other component of this grant application is provided some type of management plan. So we're looking at the tree inventory as well as a management plan.
Do you need help with the RFP process for the inventory? RFP, put it out there.
Putting it out to bid, we already have reached out to 3 companies, and what they're looking for is the city boundaries, which I do not have, and maybe I wasn't I'm sure maybe Public Works or someone at Public Works knows the boundaries, otherwise maybe the
City engineer.
a city engineer would, thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty, we have a copy today, the
Yeah.
word map on the website is the boundaries. But we have to make sure we do a certain timeline for the RFP. So it's spending city funds, so I just want to make sure with the administration, I just talked to the attorney. So we gotta get our heads together, like, we can talk, because we're gonna do it, I just want to make sure we're compliant. Yeah. I just want to make sure we're complying with the RFP process, there's certain legal things I gotta do. Really, it's not that, it's simple, but I just have to go through the motion, we have to post it publicly, we have to have it do it a certain day, we have to open up publicly, stuff like that.
Okay, so
We're gonna work on that.
thank you. So, right, so being a voluntary board, that was some of the questions that I've been kind of emailing about, like, okay, this is where we're at, and I need to know, I need to get some answers here. Because, we're not gonna get it better than cap price, and like I said, we need to know what we have in order to plan for the future, and both. So this was something that I was thinking about for the city. But then we also, but then the park district just happened to reach out this past week, looking for pretty much the same kind of plan and looking for what they had in the past while it's moving forward.
I don't have,
So-
I saw the, I was on the emails, I have no objection, because the park, it's only 13 locations, and really, some of those parks are the size of our executive office here. So it shouldn't take long to add on to our survey, I think we'll just do it at the same time. Just my gut feeling right now.
Right. I agree with that, and it's always something, once you have the data, you can always toggle it off or toggle it back off. And I don't know if anybody wants to see, but like, it does give the just basic coordinates that you would get from a Google map. And then down there, and it's something that like anyone could probably understand. It would give a rating system of the trees. If the tree, I think we would just want like basic inventory, but just to get like that basic information. And then if there is any that are at high risk, then we would have a risk assessment. I would not suggest a risk assessment to every tree, because then the city would be definitely liable.
Okay,
Okay, and it would save on costs.
I'm going to, is you got more?
Let's see, I have like my whole spiel, but I can't find it. So,
Well, so two things, your tree ordinance, we're gonna get that going.
okay,
Also,
thank you.
the RFP stuff, we're gonna work on, I just mentioned to her, work with the administration, also very soon. Not complicated, I just wanna make sure we do it legally. But we have amount budgeted, so should be good there.
We do have a budget, I think some of the cost is gonna come up higher, and just at like one ballpark range of 35,000, and that would include the full range.
So if bids came back and we're in that boat.
We have, no, it's
No,
not even
when,
a bid.
I'm saying if they do,
Yeah.
then we come back here and decide if we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
We can then transfer funds, not do it, we'll figure it out.
Right, so it would be maybe another $7,000, or it would be, it could also be something with the grant, it is from 2022 to 2024, so it might, I have to talk to the administrators, because it might be something that can be brought in the second year.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any questions?
Okay.
I just want to kind of add on to a little bit of what you're talking about, Dale. I attend most of the tree board meetings. And a couple things just for the kind of council's information. I don't think I need to tell anybody this, but we are incredibly lucky to have Dale for depth of knowledge. I don't think many towns are blessed with someone like Dale who knows all the things that she knows and has the passion for it. So that's great. And she's driven this group really quickly towards some very good ends. Been very impressed with the progress that they've made. There's some really good people on the board as well. So it's a good group, and they really are looking very carefully at a number of the pros and the cons and what's best for us and what's not best for us. So I feel like we're in pretty good hands there. The other thing about this survey, the last meeting, they made a presentation to us, and I was super impressed. It's like a satellite survey with some software around it. And there's 2 trees in front of my house, and I would know what kind of trees, each one of those trees, a lot about every single tree, and then it can be aggregated into, a vast, kind of information database that you can then use to plan our future budgets and what public works needs to do. It's like, you can't manage what you can't measure, and this is the measurement that we need to start with it. So I think it's a really good thing. And about the, whatever $35,000 or whatever it is that we're talking about, I think we probably all like trees. But that's not the reason, that's a reason to do this, because trees are great. But in terms of, there's a tremendous economic benefit to the city of trees. Just having trees increases property values. Trees reduce cooling costs. Their shade actually protects the streets from ultraviolet rays and prevents them being further damaged. They hold water to reduce flooding, and of course, they provide the ever popular oxygen that we all breathe. So there's a real economic benefit to this. I would say we would look at this more as an investment than as a cost. I'm sure that there's multiple, whatever it is, times return on what we would do here. So I just wanted to let everyone know that I think I don't think it's opposed to this problem, but there may be some questions about the cost, which would be understandable. And we will talk about those things, of course, but just some previews of things that we'll be talking about.
With this metrics that you're about to attain, would you be able to, is this physically done on site where they go up and down the block to?
For the tree,
Yes.
companies will, and they are arborists, certified arborists that are also trained specifically for taking care of these inventories. So they will be
physically
on
go.
site and go
Okay.
and definitely check every tree as well as every planting. And that is, something else to consider. One, so like, also we want to make sure that we're planting high quality trees. And if you go around town and you see like some of our old established trees, like the oaks and sycamores and some of there are some sugar maples as well as Kentucky coffee tree that are well established and were probably planted 70 to 100 years ago. those are the ones that we are probably reintroducing and diversifying our tree canopy. There has been, I know from the last survey that was done, we had a canopy of maples between silver and red maple of like 70%, which if there's another pathogen or insect or just some kind of invasive species that comes kind of like the emerald ash borer, that took down several of the ash trees. We want to make sure that our canopy is diversified as well as we're planting Midwest native trees that will thrive in our community.
And that would be my second question with is when they do go around, would they be looking for even minor diseases like the black leaf spot or something, stuff like that?
Right, well,
I've seen.
Yeah, the tar.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
just do the wet sprays, but it does start to set that tree into decline.
Exactly.
over time, So, after so many years. So it's, yes, they do, we'll kind of do a rating.
Kind of know what they do, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it also kind of takes the guesswork out of our public works department or, anyone else from, we have, I've talked to a couple of residents that are like, I don't like this tree, it's messy. And it's like, oh no, there's really nothing wrong with this tree. But in some cases, but then in other cases, when you can see like it's planted up or there's a reason why, yes, they probably have a legitimate complaint here. So it does kind of take the guesswork out of these when you're out consulting.
I can see how inventory would be beneficial.
Any questions? Not Bill, thank you.
Okay.
And we'll work on the ordinance and the RFP stuff very quickly.
That needs to be.
For the council, I have a very brief update in that for executive. Bill, we're good?
Yeah, do you want me to give any other, I probably know.
Short meeting, go ahead.
So it will also increase public safety and identify potentially hazardous trees, creating work orders and managing those trees. It saves money by being proactive instead of reactive. And I know we just had another large tree go down this past week with a storm, and that's something that town does need to consider as we do get more extreme weather coming our way. Identify where more trees can be planted, and this will increase property values. And it reduces cost over time by having a predictable management schedule. Increasing the tree coverage is speaking to what Bill was talking about. The committee links to reduce crime rates, better health outcomes, as well as student performance. So, and I will say we planted about 70 trees around Eisenhower School in the past probably 5 years now. So,
Thank you.
That's one.
thank you.
And Bill, please, the Sunday, before I forget again. 3 the best trees for the asphalt company to plant. They only found, I think, 30 or 40 for the projects this summer, spread out throughout the town. They just need a short list. It's like, they said, give us the top 3 you'd like us to plant. I'll stay within those 3.
Okay,
And they'll spread them out.
where are they planting?
I can send you a map.
Send me a map because I'll take a
I'll
look
text it to you
for
right
the
now.
best.
All right, Bill, thank you. We got a motion to go into executive.
Sorry to keep you off. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Motion by Alderman Crandall, second by Alderman McGee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? by Alderman Johnson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Executive session we discussed with negotiations in the public body and the public. That was interesting. We're on back to, we have Alderman comments, announcements. I'm sorry, I skipped that again. Was there any Alderman comments, announcements, questions? If not, we need a motion to adjourn. Alderman Grunwald, second by Alderman McGee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?